From a young age, you were introduced to a silent belief system that shaped how you see the world, whether you realized it or not. In school, only one student is celebrated as the best. In sports, one team wins while the other loses. Even in simple classroom activities, you are ranked, compared, and measured. Over time, this conditioning becomes your default lens. You begin to believe that life is a competition. That success is limited. That if someone else gets ahead, it somehow reduces your chances of winning. So you adapt. You start competing in every area of life, sometimes unconsciously. You compare your progress. You guard your ideas. You hesitate to collaborate fully because deep down, you feel like you might lose something. But here's what's dangerous about this mindset. It doesn't just affect how you work, it affects how you relate to people. Conversations become subtle battles. Relationships become strategic. Even opportunities feel like something you must fight for rather than create. And slowly, without realizing it, you trap yourself in a world where you are always trying to win, but rarely feel fulfilled. Because the truth is, real success doesn't come from defeating others. It comes from thinking differently. It comes from breaking out of the belief that life is a zero-sum game, and stepping into a mindset where growth is not limited, and success is not scarce. There are three dominant mindsets that shape how people approach life, relationships, and success: win-lose, lose-win, and win-win. The first is win-lose. This is the most common. It's driven by competition and ego. In this mindset, success is seen as a limited resource. If someone else wins, you must lose. So people fight to be right, to dominate, to prove themselves. It creates short-term victories, but long-term resistance. The second is lose-win. This is the opposite extreme. Instead of fighting to win, people surrender too easily. They avoid conflict, suppress their needs, and constantly put others first, not from strength, but from fear of rejection or desire for approval. On the surface, it looks peaceful. But inside, it creates frustration, resentment, and a loss of self-respect. Then there's win-win. This is where everything changes. Win-win is not about competition or submission. It's about collaboration. It's about seeking solutions where both sides benefit, where success is shared, not taken. It requires creativity. It requires emotional intelligence. And most importantly, it requires confidence, the belief that you don't have to lose for someone else to win. When you operate from this mindset, you stop reacting to situations, and start creating outcomes. And that shift alone separates average thinking from truly effective people. The win-lose mindset feels natural, but it's actually learned, and it's rooted deeply in fear. Fear that there isn't enough success to go around. Fear that opportunities are limited. Fear that if you don't take your chance now, someone else will take it from you. So people compete aggressively. They hold back information. They prioritize short-term wins over long-term relationships. And sometimes, it works. They get the deal. They win the argument. They come out on top. But what they don't see is the hidden cost. Trust begins to erode. People become cautious around them. Opportunities that depend on collaboration quietly disappear. Because success built on win-lose thinking is fragile. It relies on constant competition, constant defense, constant proving. And over time, it becomes exhausting. The truth is, the world is not as limited as it seems. There are more opportunities, more possibilities, and more ways to create value than most people realize. But you can't see those possibilities when your mindset is locked in competition. You can only see what you might lose. And that fear keeps you small. Win-win thinking begins with a powerful shift in belief: there is enough for everyone. When you truly understand this, your behavior changes naturally. You stop approaching every situation as a battle. You stop trying to dominate conversations or prove your worth at every opportunity. Instead, you begin to ask a different question. How can this work for both of us? That one question opens up new possibilities. Instead of arguing, you explore. Instead of competing, you collaborate. Instead of forcing outcomes, you create them. And this creates something incredibly valuable: trust. People feel safe around you. They feel respected. They feel understood. And in return, they become more open, more willing to share, and more willing to work with you. This is where real opportunities are created, not in competition, but in collaboration. Win-win thinkers don't just build results. They build relationships. And those relationships become the foundation for long-term success. Because in life, your network, your reputation, and your ability to work with others will often take you further than raw talent alone. One of the biggest misconceptions about win-win thinking is that it's soft. That it means agreeing with everyone. That it means avoiding conflict. That it means lowering your standards just to keep the peace. But the truth is the opposite. Win-win requires strength. It requires clarity about what you want. It requires confidence in your value. And it requires the courage to stand firm without becoming aggressive. A win-win thinker does not say yes to everything. They say, I want a solution that works for both of us. And if that solution cannot be found, they are willing to walk away. Not out of anger, but out of principle. You begin to see possibilities where others see limitations. And here's what makes this powerful. People can feel it. They sense that you are not trying to take something from them, but to build something with them. That energy alone changes how people respond to you. Doors begin to open. Conversations become deeper. Opportunities become more natural. Because in a world driven by scarcity, an abundance mindset makes you stand out immediately. In every area of life, business, relationships, leadership, there is one invisible force that determines your level of success. Trust. Without trust, everything becomes difficult. Communication breaks down. Collaboration slows. Opportunities disappear before they even begin. And yet, most people try to succeed without ever intentionally building trust. Win-win thinking changes that. When people know that you are not trying to outsmart them, manipulate them, or take advantage of them, something powerful happens. They relax. They become more open. They share more information. They are willing to work with you instead of against you. And over time, this compounds. One trusted relationship leads to another. One collaboration leads to bigger opportunities. One honest interaction builds a reputation that spreads even when you're not in the room. This is the hidden advantage of win-win thinking. Win-win thinking is not just a theory, it's a practical approach that transforms real-life situations. In business, it turns negotiations into partnerships. Instead of trying to get the better deal, you focus on creating value for both sides. And when both sides benefit, the relationship lasts longer and grows stronger. In relationships, win-win creates respect. Instead of trying to be right, you try to understand. Instead of forcing your way, you look for solutions that honor both perspectives. This reduces conflict and builds emotional connection. In leadership, win-win creates loyalty. When people feel valued, not used, they give more. They trust more. They commit more. And this is where the difference becomes clear. Win-lose creates tension. Lose-win creates resentment. Win-win creates growth. It turns everyday interactions into opportunities for connection and progress. Win-lose thinkers often win fast. They push harder. They take more. They dominate situations and come out ahead, at least in the moment. But that kind of success rarely lasts. Because every win comes at a cost. Relationships weaken. Trust fades. people become less willing to collaborate in the future. And eventually, the same strategy that created success begins to limit it. Win-win thinkers, on the other hand, move differently. They focus on building, not just winning. They invest in relationships, not just outcomes. They create value that extends beyond a single moment. And because of that, their success compounds. One opportunity leads to another. One relationship opens doors to many more. One collaboration builds momentum that continues to grow. They may not always win immediately. But over time, they win bigger. Because they are not playing short-term games. They are building long-term systems of success. And in the long run, that always wins. The shift to win-win thinking doesn't happen overnight. It begins with awareness. It begins with noticing how often you approach situations with a mindset of competition, fear, or self-protection. And then, making a conscious decision to think differently. Instead of asking, "How do I win?" you start asking, "How can we both win?" That one question changes everything. It forces you to slow down. To think deeper. To look beyond immediate outcomes and consider long-term impact. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. Because you are going against years of conditioning. But with time, it becomes natural. You begin to see opportunities others miss. You build stronger relationships. You create outcomes that benefit not just you, but everyone involved. And that is the true power of win-win thinking. It doesn't just change your results. It changes how you experience life. Most people will watch this, understand it, and go right back to competing. But not you. Because now you see something different. You see that success isn't about winning against people. It's about creating wins with them. So here's your challenge. For the next 24 hours. In every conversation, every decision, every interaction. Ask yourself one simple question. Backhand index pointing right, how can we both win? Not, how do I win? Not, how do I avoid losing? But, how do we both come out better? At first, it might feel uncomfortable. Because you're breaking years of conditioning. But that's exactly where the transformation begins. Because the moment you start thinking differently, you start acting differently. And when you act differently, people respond differently. That's how new opportunities open. That's how trust is built. That's how real success starts. If this changed the way you see success even a little, then you're already ahead of most people. Make sure you subscribe, because in the next episode, we're going deeper into the habits that separate average thinking from truly effective people. And remember, backhand index pointing right, you don't rise by beating people. You rise by building with them.